Great. Welcome to the August meeting of the Educator Excellence Committee. Want to start with updating folks on the meeting that I had with Jen this week in person and where we've left things. And so the goal is, of course, continues to be supporting early educator retention, and as part of that, also supporting them through the beginning of their time with us in the school districts, of course. But one of the two things that to contextualize this, we want to make sure that there's consistency between what the new report published and the other reports that our agency has published through Mary Levy, and also internal agency staff. And so not only is the work now, of course, to go through the report that we commissioned, but also now to translate that into what our asks are to our sister agencies and our recommendations for our colleagues in this space. And so what I spoke about with Jen was that she would take the next week to draft a report based on previous discussions, existing research, this report that we just commissioned, and give us draft recommendations to share with our peers. We would then get a chance to redline, edit, add recommendations, questions, async, and then at the next committee meeting, present those findings and then draft recommendations to the board, give the board members a chance to provide their feedback, and then when we reconvene in mid-September, I think it's important that we invite some educators in to give them their feedback on the report as well, and to make sure that what we are then essentially what we're preparing is our asks, right, to our sister agencies, that we get their feedback on what we'll be advocating, and then for October, have the final draft considered at the working session and voted to the public meeting agenda. At the public meeting in October, have the report and asks approved by the board, and then spend the time moving over to council hearing on teacher retention, being ready for that sometime in the fall, and then moving forward with advocacy. So would appreciate your feedback.
And I'll just add quickly, for this proposed timeline, I do want to just bring it back also to Executive Director Butler, Andrew, the other leads in the office, just to make sure we're not missing anything. I do think it's quite solid though, but I will update the committee if there's any feedback from that group.
I think that sounds good to me. I think that I think it makes sense to cross-reference like the research that we have just done with the historical research that we've done. I think that we really need to think about like less being more. Like I went back through the report today, and it's a exhaustive list of like recommendations. So I think really trying to pinpoint like the most salient, like just to throw a number out there, like no more than 5. And then as we're talking, I don't know if this was included in the rollout that you described, Representative Chang, but like when we're talking with OSSI, or when we're talking to DCPS, when we're talking with WTU, and when we're talking with PCSB or charter school lines, like also kind of assessing capacity, like because I think like I really want to like bring people along in this work. And I think so much of that is building consensus and also just like seeing what others can do. Cause like we might have the best policy solutions in the world, but if we don't have resources to implement them, like it's not going to happen. So I'm just curious if part of the strategy is to say like, where does this work live in your agency and what would you be willing to do? What do you see your organization able to do as well?
I like that. And I will say you are uniquely qualified to help us prioritize which of those we push forward first. Would you be willing to take a look and share your ideas for the top 3 to 5 with Jen?
Yeah, Jen, I can commit to kind of scheduling time with you to kind of go through it.
Super.
I think that I've been saying I would for a while, so I'm happy to do that.
Yeah, absolutely. I will take the action item to set up that time with you. And I do think that's important distinction, right? Because the Market Me consulting report, those recommendations were to the board, and you do want to share those with your colleagues. But as Representative Tang said, also develop, like decide from there based on all the work. Um, what do you want to then recommend to the field?
Yeah. And to me, I think there's two sets of engaging with folks. It's like one, there's like just a learning or a well, it's all learning, but like I think that we're still trying to learn. Like I know that there have been mentorship programs in DCPS before, I know that there are some mentorship programs in some LEAs in the charter sector. I think we don't know how many in the charter sector, and I'm not clear as to why it was disbanded, just to give an example of one recommendation in DCPS. And so I think, I'm happy to kind of like in that conversation with you, prioritize the questions that we want to ask so that we can be a little more specific when we engage with them.
Thanks, Ben. How about you, Robert?
Um, I am sorry, I missed some of the audio. Could you just restate the question real quickly?
Sure. Yeah. Thoughts on how we the schedule that I laid out where we review. Jen puts the draft together for actionable asks to the other agencies. We get a chance to review it. We run it by the broader board. We run it by educator groups like the WTU, Empower Ed to give feedback, and then we bring that over to teacher attention hearing in the fall to council.
Yeah, I'm ready to do whatever it takes to get that to happen.
Super. And that schedule sounds good to you?
Yes. Yeah.
Okay. Thank you. Jen, I think then we have our marching orders. Is there anything else you wanted to run by us while we're all together?
Oh, I think that's everything. Again, I appreciate the committee's flexibility. I know you had discussed socializing the Market Me report with folks before, but it is an important step to make sure that your peers on the board also see it and help you think through what the board wants to recommend widely. Um, and again, as a reminder, I know it was discussed at the working session, but there's no date yet for the teacher retention hearing, but we should know once council hopefully comes back in session, and I will keep you all updated on that as well.
Great. I mean, I would go so far as to say if you could, with your council colleagues, stay in touch so that we could even have a little bit of carved out time at that one, that would be amazing. But okay, I will thank you for everyone's engagement. Jen, thank you and the team for working on this. We'll look forward to seeing what you put together and review it async.
Sounds like a plan. I'll also follow up with the committee tomorrow. I'm at a back to school event currently with this, yeah, again, this rough proposed timeline and expectations for when I'll need your feedback and things like that.
Super. Thank you so much.
That was good. All.
Bye.
Bye.
Thank you, everyone.
Thanks, Jen.